touchdown. And he flips the ball to Rowdy to do with what he will.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Showtime Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just gotten back from North Carolina State, where I was doing a little event down there, Pack-a-Palooza, with the college kids, doing some videography. And yeah, believe it or not, I was doing a little dynasty scouting. I met North Carolina State quarterback C.J. Bailey. He's a good kid. But to be honest, I watched his game tape later that night, and I was like, ugh. I don't think we'll get drafted, but I like you, CJ. Hopefully you do get drafted. But anyway, yeah, down there from an event, and I couldn't wait to get back up here to do a podcast episode, even though I did say weekly. Or might be doing maybe a little, twice a week at times. I can't really stick to a schedule. It's a little hard for me, considering my own schedule is just kind of wishy-washy. But with football coming up, it's time to talk about a lot of stuff because there's actually real headlines to talk about. I got to tell you guys, when I was doing, I always do my research. I listen to some shows. I read articles on some websites looking for headlines. And sometimes I'll even just type in NFL on Twitter or NFL and just see what pops up. What headlines catch my eye that I want to talk about on the show. I got to tell you, there was no shortage of headlines today. When I'm looking at this, all the stuff going on, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What's going on? I mean, this is a complete watered down mockery. What's going on with the NFL, college? I mean, you got an owner trying to have sex for $140. I don't know. That's insane to me. $140. I mean, I think that's all we'll talk about with that story. But you're an owner, and that's what you're trying to are you kidding me? That's beyond me. We can't talk about that anymore. But on that, we got a predator who was named the starting quarterback, and then we got kids who are 17 again. You guys remember that movie with Zac Efron? Well, if you don't remember that movie, what happens was the plot. Zac Efron, the main character, I forget the dude's name, but he got to go back to high school and live his high school dream out. See, 17 again. He got to get on the basketball team that he was cut with. He got with the pretty girl, and he lived a new life and had a new family. And these kids are doing it in real life. I mean, they're not going back to high school, but two kids who declared for the NFL, said goodbye to college. I'm done with that. They got cut from an NFL team because they weren't good enough, and they also had some very poor character, and they just headed right back to college. What the fuck is going on? I mean, this is college football is a complete circus at this point. That's really no secret. But I mean, the fact that we got kids leaving and declaring for the pros. They go to the pros. They get trained in a professional environment. They're only there for a few months because they're not good enough. Plain and simple, they're not good enough. And then if they're not good enough, it's okay because they get to go right back to college. That is absolutely insane to me. I know there's people out there that are applauding that. They're saying, we're giving these kids a second chance. I mean, are you kidding me? He's a failed football player, okay? If you fail, you fail. And that's probably it's a generational thing. It's a problem with life overall. And I would put the blame on us because I'm a part of that generation at 27 years old. But also I think a good amount of blame has to go from the previous generation due to the parenting. It's just you do whatever you can to prevent failure, and that is one of the worst principles that this new generation is just kind of living with right now. It's just preventing failure, running from the adversity, and not admitting your failure, and just leaning into it. The best, most successful people did nothing but fail. They built that resilience over time. And guess what? They ended up making it out at the end because they had so much built up resilience over time of all those failures that the one time they hit on something, it was easy for them. It was cake for them to kind of work around some of the roadblocks and whatever their new endeavor was. But in this generation, we've now have a nice soft generation where we prevent failure. And I'm guilty of it. I've lived it too. Running from adversity, preventing failure. It's okay if you got cut from the NFL. You can go right back to college. Are you fucking kidding me? You got cut from the NFL, you're done. You're not good enough. Find something else to do. But no, we get them right back to college, get them a nice NIL deal, and everything's okay. That is just absolute. I mean, what the hell is going on? I mean, that is just insane to me. I mean, and I know people are going to attack me for that and say, "Oh man, you're not being the NCAA has robbed these kids, and these kids should be able to, if they have eligibility." Man, if you declare, you made a business decision doing that, declaring for the pros, and if you don't make it in the pros because you're not good enough, you get to go back to college. Nah, man, that's crazy. We might as well just be in Hollywood now. We're 17 again, or there's another movie too from back in the day. I forget the name of it. It was a similar plot. But yeah, we just have a time machine. You get to go back now. I might have some eligibility now. I should go back and see if I could do anything. I don't think I technically, I completed college, but some of you guys out there, you might have eligibility left, so you might be able to go back to college, even though you failed in whatever you're doing right now. Just go back to college. Go back to where it's nice and easy, because that's how life is. It's always easy. Always easy. You get to just run to your easy, run to your safe, run to your comfort zone. That's the spirit we want. Absolutely incredible. But anyway, we got to get into. We really don't have. We have some news today, and there's obviously a big elephant in the room that we're going to get to next. But I do want to. I want to do a little injury news and roundup and a couple transactions that happened today. Number one, we had a big scare yesterday where Ashton Genty. They said he had to be carted and helped off. I don't know if it was carted or helped off the field, but that initial tweet came out. I know a lot of people that are, had high stock in him in best ball and had him in high stakes leagues. They pretty much shit their pants when they heard something like that, because it was like, oh my God, the season is over. My fantasy season is over. I bet it all on Ashton Genty, and there he goes. He's out for the season. But the more and more the news came out today, it was revealed that he suffered an ankle sprain. Still probably going to be a 3 to 4 week injury. He might miss a game or two, but he's not out for the season. And it'll probably, I've actually have done a rankings update. I didn't publish it yet. I'm going to publish it once I get done recording this podcast, but I took Ashton Genty out of the 1-2 turn. I lowered him one round to the 2-3 turn, but initially I was like, oh my God, I got to lower him all the way down to like the 10th round. Now it's like, okay, an ankle sprain, you'll miss 2 games. It's not ideal at all. You don't want your running back going into the season with an ankle sprain, but I'm having right now around the 2-3 turn. That's kind of my perspective on that. Again, when you guys want to find out where I have this guy, that guy, who do I have, you can get all your answers on the Patreon. Okay, I'm doing onboarding calls now for you guys that have drafts coming up. Some of you guys that have no idea what you're doing. I hold your hand. I walk you through the process, and literally you could be 5 years old. I'm that confident. I could teach a 5-year-old how to do this. And for you guys that are intermediate and advanced players, this is just simply another tool to add to your arsenal. Okay, another waiver report, another trade chart you can compare, another ranking sheet you could add to your master consensus. And just sharpen your arsenal. Add another tool. Add another weapon to give you that extra edge. That's what you get when you go to the Patreon. So check that out if you guys are interested. I'll be publishing a rankings update as soon as I get done with this podcast. So when you see this, there should be a nice, fresh rankings update reflective of the latest news and injuries. But one impact I want to briefly talk about too, with the Ashton Genty is, what would this do for the backup? And the backup, let me tell you guys, this backup Raiders running back, Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas, this is one of the biggest physical specimens I've ever seen. I mean, just from an athletic standpoint, 6'1", 223 pounds, 4.3 speed. That is very, very rare. I mean, that's literally Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker type of just physical traits. I'm not saying he's that. Okay, let's get that clear, because I know, it's already it's happened multiple times with me already, because I I do a little clickbait title or a little phrase that, is part of the game. I mean, especially with YouTube, you got to have a little bit of something catchy, a little clickbaity. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's part of the game. I mean, it's corny. I'm not going to run from that. It is clickbaity. I totally get it. But it's just when you say stuff, certain things, they get misconstrued and, just totally blown out of proportion. So I do want to kind of put the bumpers up in the sense when I say some of these takes. I mean, just from a physical traits and athletic standpoint, not the football player. Yeah, that's literally Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker type traits. Okay, but the actual football player, there's going to be some growing pains. But tell you what, this Raiders, there's a lot of upgrades to this Raiders run game, this Raiders offense that I think you're going to see this year. And when you look at how bad they were the last 2 years, it can't be that hard to get an upgrade, you would think. What's funny is you would think from going from Antonio Pierce and that offense to Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly that would be a big upgrade, but it actually wasn't an upgrade at all. It was, when they drafted Ashton Jeanty last year at number 5 overall, they think, oh, no way we're going to have the worst running attack in the NFL. Well, it turns out they had the worst running attack in the NFL by a fucking mile. They weren't even we said the stat last week about how Ashton Jeanty had 70 carries where he had 0 or negative yards. 70 carries. That's absolutely insane. I don't think that'll happen again this year. But regardless, this Raiders running game is definitely something you guys want to invest in. Even with Mike Washington, he'll be a handcuff, even though because Genty's only going to at most miss a game or two. There could be a chance where this thing gets healed up by, it probably won't be all the way healed up, but there's a chance he could be there week 1. This doesn't sound, we'll see more headlines coming out over the next day, but just doing some reading before I hit record. It's a low ankle sprain. It's at most a 3 to 4 week injury. So it's not the end of the world. He's not going to be on PUP or anything like that. But Mike Washington, absolutely worth the investment. And you watch just a little, preseason. I know you guys are watching preseason reels of these sleepers in fantasy. Mike Washington was one of the most fun preseason reels I've seen. It was cool. Watching a player that size and speed. You just see man, there's a lot of upside here. So keep an eye on him. Write his name down. But I've said this as well last time. If you look at the Raiders' offensive line, they got a lot. Tyler Linderbaum. I can't stress enough how big of an upgrade that is. Last year they were kind of fiddling around with at center. I forget it was Powers Johnson, who was not really a center. He's a guard that kind of just became a center because they had nobody else to play center. And, I forget the other guy they had there last year, but it was not good at all. They understand, especially with Clint Kubiak, he is offensive minded. He comes with a lot of successful systems. His dad was Gary Kubiak was a very good head coach in my opinion. So he is not a dummy, plain and simple. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make an offense succeed as he, took a Seattle offense that even though it was a defensive led team, say what you want, but he had big outputs for the rushing game that they had last year, and Sam Darnold had a decent year as well. So he knows what he's doing on offense. And the first move he made was bringing in Tyler Linderbaum, and that said a lot to me because he understands that, we cannot only get this rookie quarterback pummeled because that's just going to kill him. Because that's exactly what happened to Sam Darnold when he went to the Jets. He got hit and knocked around, and then he just lost his confidence completely. He had to go through a 2-year process where he regained it and eventually became the quarterback that he was drafted to be. But that can't happen to Mendoza, and he knows that. So that's why they went out to get Linderbaum. But also the way he's going to assist in the checks, the blitzes, it's going to be a big loss for Baltimore and a huge addition for the Raiders. So giving a fortune to him, I think it was like $60 or $70 million guaranteed. I think it's going to make a huge difference. So I'm saying that, me being a fantasy football channel, saying I'm excited to see the center play for the Raiders is a little silly, but I just think that's going to be such a huge difference. One of the most important positions in the game. To get that big of an upgrade is going to change a lot. Then, the ripple effect. You have Power Johnson moving back to his strength at guard. And then you also get Colton Miller back, who was a Pro Bowl tackle. A player that I was not really too fond of, but for what it's worth, he's a Pro Bowler. The resume speaks for itself. He started a lot of games for them, and he didn't really play at all last year for the Raiders. So that's going to be a big upgrade than what it was last year. And look, Ashton Jeanty, he had 940 yards last year. And, he had like a 120-yard game against Houston. So the problem is not him. The problem was the situation around him. And that's usually the case with a lot of running backs. Sometimes they just can't overcome the situation, but they're good players. And Ashton Jeanty, they drafted him very high. They're going to build this offense around him, even though Mendoza yes, he's the first overall pick. I mean, they're going to build it around him, but it's Ashton Jeanty almost has that same amount of clout because of the capital that John Spytek invested into him, and Ty and Mark Davis as well. But that's kind of what that signing of Tyler Linderbaum, how substantial that was in my eyes. So I know a lot of people, I'm not saying I'm wheels up on the Raiders because I still think that passing game, the receivers, I don't like that. But this running game for the Raiders, I'm a huge thumbs up. I'm buying heavy stock in the runners. I think getting in 12 personnel is going to be would do wonders for them. I don't know if Mendoza's going to be comfortable doing that, but assuming that they're going to start Kirk Cousins week 1, which they haven't named a starter. And I thought it was interesting what Clint Kubiak said in his press conference that, hey, we want to keep the suspense up, number one, but number two, nobody's earned anything. And that's honestly the best mentality to have as, a head coach. And it's a lot easier to say that to a team that's won like 2 games in 2 years, or what did they really win? Like, I think it was like 6 or 7 games in the last 2 years combined. So that team is absolutely garbage. And, to say that is actually, you could say that because they haven't earned anything. They were the worst team in the league. So I like how they, went about that, and I think it's going to be, I don't think we need to sink Ashton Jeanty. I know the injuries are a concern, but I mean, there's a lot of upside here with Ashton Jeanty. I thought I was slightly higher on him than consensus already, so I'm pumping the brakes on that. I think it'll be all right. Next, we have Travion Henderson. We don't know the severity of that injury, but he slipped and fell, and then he had a little injury. That's all we know at this point. We don't know if it's an ankle, a knee, or foot. I haven't really read into that, but something to keep an eye on. I would say my overall outlook on the Patriots backfield, I've actually, last year, you guys know I was big on Stevenson because I thought the difference in ADP was crazy. I mean, Travion Henderson was a rookie second-round pick, third or second-round pick, but he was a rookie second-round pick, let's just say. And people were drafting him mid-third, 3-4 turn, and Ramondre was a 10th round pick. And I'm like, this is going to be a split backfield. I mean, this is crazy how anyone would draft Henderson at 3-4 turn. And, Henderson, a lot of people say, oh, he came alive at the back end of the season and whatnot. And I get that. But, if you had Henderson in 3-4 turn, unless your team was stellar around him, you probably didn't do too well last year in fantasy on that specific league because he sunk you for all those games and you went too far down the gutter before it was time to bounce back. And by the time it was, you were eliminated from postseason contention. So now this year I was actually more Henderson because he was down in ADP compared to last year, and Ramondre was up. It was kind of like Ramondre's going in like the 8th, 9th round, I'm pretty sure. Maybe 8th round, and Henderson was a round 5, maybe round 6 now with this injury. So it was more of it was more close. Excuse me. It was a closer ADP gap, let's say. So it just made more sense to draft Travion Henderson because I'm like, all right, this guy's, we've seen that. Yeah, I like Stevenson, but the fumbles, there was just a lot of concerns there. The one thing he has over him is pass blocking, if we want to get technical with it. But Henderson showed that he's an explosive player, and I think he's had an offseason to get better with pass blocking, which I'm expecting him to be a little bit different of a player than he was as a rookie. So there's that overall was like, I was on Henderson, but I still wasn't really drafting much of him just because I still think it's going to be a split at the end of the day, and I'm not really keen on drafting a running back that early who's going to be in a guaranteed split. So I was just kind of whatever with it. But now we'll see the severity of the injury. And I still kind of am whatever with Henderson, but I probably have him as like a round 6 player. I think that's where I have him as my latest rankings update. We'll see what the injury is, but if it's severe, it's going to be wheels up on Stevenson. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then the last transaction, New England today traded Keyshawn Boutte to the Texans. And we actually talked about it on the last podcast about how, Houston, they need another guy. They got to get another guy opposite Nico Collins. They have to. And I was just looking at options, and we were doing a whole breakdown, which I've done multiple times. I feel like about what's happened to C.J. Stroud the last couple of years and how he went from a player in 2023, who was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, to a player was almost benched last year. And I've, said that, like a couple of people are like, oh, no, that's not. I'm like, it was true. I mean, if you go back last year and you read some headlines and do a little research, I mean, there was talk within that Houston Texans building from some of the coaches like, Davis Mills looks really good. I don't want to say it too loud because I don't want CJ hearing this if he's around the corner, but like Davis Mills might be the guy. That was a real talk. And D'Amico said, no, we're not going to bench CJ because, we can't kill his confidence. That's really what it came down to. But the fact that he's even in consideration of being benched is like crazy compared to what he was in 2023. And yes, I think he's regressed, but I will give him credit to the point where the scenario hasn't been too great. Aside from Nico Collins, he hasn't really gotten a lot of help. The offensive line went to shit after 2023. The running game, I mean, they had the Joe Mixon situation that didn't help them. Woody was okay, but Woody's, a third, fourth round pick rookie, so he wasn't going to figure it all out immediately. I mean, they traded for Montgomery, but I don't really think that's going to help too much. And then, the biggest thing was, in my opinion, Tank Dell, his buddy Tank Dell, who was his best friend coming into the league, and he hasn't been there. He hasn't been there since the early portion of 2024. And, I in my latest rankings update, I once again took Tank Dell off my board. He still hasn't practiced. It's August 24th. I mean, what are we waiting on? And if he's, to me, that just means he's not healthy. He's still hurt. So I just said that's not a draftable player, in my opinion. If you're not practicing on August 24th, I mean, when are you going to play in the game, dude? I'm not expecting you to play preseason games, but like, you got to practice, man. Even he's not even practicing in non-contact periods where they're doing just jerseys and shorts. I mean, to me, that says a lot. So they knew the problem too, and Nick Caserio and company. So they went out and he called an old friend in New England, Bob Kraft, and the staff up there, and said, hey, you guys got any spare receivers? They said, hey, yeah, we got Keyshawn Boutte. We like him, but we're probably not going to pay him, so you can have him. And there he is. He's on his way over to Houston. And Boutte was a player, man. I've done a lot of profile on him. I mean, I like him as a player. I think there's some challenges with the gambling and just some mental stuff for him to work through, but he's a decent player. He caught a lot of touchdowns. He had like 8-9 touchdowns last year, 600-700 yards. Number 2 receiver, I think it could work. And, Houston, they love those big receivers. I mean, he's not a big like Nico Collins big, but he's like 6'0", 6'1", 215, I think. I mean, so he's not a small player. I mean, he's got some size to him. He could play on the outside in 2 receiver sets. And I think considering they're not going to have Jaden Higgins this year, that's probably one of the better options they can get, considering how cheap they got him. And they got him for nothing. They sent a safety and a 7th round pick. So that's, traded a ham and cheese sandwich and a pack of gum. So it was worth it for them. It's a contract year for Boutte, so there's a lot on the line with him, and I expect him to step up. I mean, we'll see how much of a difference that makes. I mean, he's got to win his one-on-ones consistently. I mean, you're doing the game plan for Houston. If you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to double Nico Collins at all times. You don't care about Dalton Schultz because he's not going to do anything, and Boutte is going to be one-on-one. He's got to win those matchups. So we'll see if he can do that on a consistent basis. Last year, I mean, I dare to argue that he was the number 1 at times in New England, but Stephon Diggs was there, and he's a name who commands respect. So I could see why people wouldn't be really worried about Boutte, but it would be interesting. It's interesting to see if Boutte is going to be a consistent impact for the Houston Texans offense that desperately needs a number 2 receiver. As far as fantasy, I have him down 16th, 15th round. I might move him up a little bit, depending on maybe what I'm hearing. I'll do a little more diving on that, but pretty conservative ranking as of now, 15th, 16th round. Nothing crazy. You get him with your second to last pick. Stash him, hope for the best. That's really all I'm hoping. I don't think he's going to vault into some big role. Higgins, to me, was I had a little bit more upside with him. He was more like an 11th round player to me because year 2, 2nd round pick, I saw him progress as the season went on. He didn't do anything the first 8-10 games, but those last 6, I'm like, all right, we see a little bit of signs that he could be a number 2 receiver in the league. And it's unfortunate that he had that injury, but I'm interested to see what Keyshawn Boutte could do. I think it was a good move by Houston, and it shows that they might be listening to the Showtime. No, I'm kidding, but one thing that, one of the biggest reasons why, you need to be listening to the Showtime Fantasy Podcast, guys, is because we call stuff before it happens. Okay, plain and simple, we do. Go listen to the podcast last week. I've talked about this situation already. I said Houston's got to get a number 2. They went out and at least tried to get a number 2. We'll see if Boutte can be the guy, but at least they tried to get a number 2. What did I also say last week? Really, 2 episodes ago? So damn near 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? What did I say? Well, Deshaun Masseuse Watson is going to be the starter no matter what because of the politics that are going on. And we'll see Shedeur eventually, but it's going to be the Masseuse show for at least week 1 against Jacksonville until however long they could tolerate it. And what do you know, man? Deshaun Masseuse Watson officially named the Cleveland Browns starter today. Todd Monken came out and said, and I quote, Deshaun gives us the best chance to move the ball and score. Honestly, I feel bad for him, man. To say that, and he knows damn well that's not true. But to say that and have to encourage him with a straight face and not roll your eyes as saying stuff like that. Listening to that, I was laughing, but it's come on, man. Deshaun Watson in the preseason game that we watched, or I said that I watched on Saturday night in my hotel room after I got done watching, they had a weird schedule. It was I actually got a little preseason red zone, and then I also they were doing reruns of the games from the night before or earlier in the day. So they had the Cowboys-Cardinals game on, and the Cowboys blew out the Cardinals because I think Joe Milton's been awesome. I've seen that progression. He's looked really good, a lot better than any quarterback in Cleveland. But watching Mikey LaFleur and the Cardinals jump off sides and the false starts, they're so sloppy, man. Mikey, my God, man, what are you guys doing in practice? But 3rd and goal from the 1, they're doing false starts. It was funny to watch. And it kind of goes to show how, it's preseason, it's overreaction. I get it, but it goes, it's just how watered down some of this stuff is becoming. It's really the executives are really to blame because they're the ones hiring these people. But anyway, flipped over to the Browns game and watched Deshaun Watson go out there and throw 5 for 12 for 36 yards. I really think that I could do a better job, and I know I would get clobbered out there, and they would have to carry me off in a stretcher once I get hit because I'm only 175 pounds, but. I really do think I could do a better job than that. 5 for 12 for 36 yards against second and third stringers. And I know, he got second and third stringers on his side. Man, come on. You think if you put Mahomes out there, he would do the same stats? I don't think so. Even just give me an average quarterback. You think, Geno's not putting up numbers like that. Seriously, 5 for 12 for 36 yards? And Todd Monken has to come out and say he gives us the best chance to move the ball and score points. My God. But really the whole what really made this all gross was watching what Deshaun did after the game. So obviously you guys saw the game. They booed the hell out of him, and it's no surprise, dude. What's even today. Which I know today he apologized. That doesn't mean shit. I don't care. I really don't give a fuck. People, you guys can take that apology and kiss his ass and all that. But I have no remorse for that dude. It's clear I've said some mean things to him, but I think he's more than deserving of it considering what he's done in the last 5 years, and just some of the disgusting acts. If this dude was a regular person, just a regular Joe working a job, and some of these things came up on him that if he was a regular Joe, he might be in jail. And I don't want to get too far down that, but he's disgusting, man. I'm tired of looking at this dude and, watching him in that press conference, watching him act like a jackass. First of all, he would win this, even though they booed the hell out of him. He acts so surprised. It's like, dude, you've done nothing but be an embarrassment to that franchise. The moment you've got there, you were embarrassment coming into there because of your accusations, which people were like, all right, we'll give you a second chance. But you didn't even play a lick. There's not a game that you played well. Not one game where you played well. You were asked the second you got there. In 2022, I wrote this, 2022, it was all excuses. Oh, he hasn't played. So they gave him a full offseason. All right, we'll write off 2022 because it was all, he didn't play. He's so rusty. I mean, I don't know what he was doing for a year. Was he not working out? Was he not throwing the football? I mean, what was he doing? He had nothing but to relax, get his body in shape, and throw the football. It sounded like he couldn't do that, but fine. We'll make excuses and say he was, we'll redshirt that year. 2023, he's ass again. He might be even worse than he was the year before. He was horrible through 6-7 games, and he goes down with an injury. And they got old man Joe Flacco coming off the bench, and he gave that team a spark of confidence that they haven't had since, that COVID year. They went to the playoffs that year. And I know it was, Myles Garrett, Jim Schwartz, and that defense was really a big reason why, but that offense was competent. It went from an offense that was 32nd in the league to a competent offense when he left the team, when he got out of the picture. Okay? 2024, he comes back again. Garbage from week one. Again, I remember that game because it was against the Cowboys. Horrendous, just absolutely horrendous. No way, no shape or form. Like, can you drum that up as he did well? Same story. He ends up getting hurt. He goes out and, oh yeah, he's been hurt. And I'm just sick and tired of that. But then what would win me over and win the fans over especially is if, dude, you came out to that press conference after you knew you were going to be asked about being booed. Same thing I said about like when the Jefferson thing, like these players are being prepared with PR, their PR guys and the team's PR guy, they already know what's coming. So they're getting in there saying, hey, you're going to be asked about being booed. You should probably say this. And he could have totally won. He might have won me over. But like, I know it doesn't matter to win me over, right? But he would have won the guy talking shit on him from Jersey in his armchair and all the Cleveland Browns fan base and the coaches and the teammates. If he went out in front of the cameras and said, you know what, guys, I apologize to the fans. I've been asked since I've gotten here. There's no way, shape, or form. Like I've been trash. I have not been performing up to my $230 million ridiculous contract. From now on, I'll be donating my checks to a charity of my choice, and I'll let the fans maybe do a poll or something like that. I mean, I don't have to get that dramatic, but I'll be donating my checks to charity, and I'll also acknowledge that I haven't done anything. I haven't earned anything. I've done nothing but be a failure here, and I want to improve and get better, but I understand why the fans booed me, and I'm just looking to improve. But what does he do? This motherfucker comes out. First of all, he's sitting there playing with his earrings that probably cost like 20 racks. He's sitting there fucking around with his earrings the whole time, and he sounds like an absolute bitch, saying, oh, man, it was personal. They booed me when I got hurt. No, excuse me. They cheered when I got hurt. No shit. And if you guys go back and watch that footage, you'll see up in the 200s, you might see me up there going like this, cheering when he got hurt. And I don't cheer for players getting hurt, but I cheered when he got hurt. And I'm sure there's probably some of those teammates, and they would never come out and say this, okay? But I know damn well in their gut, they're probably, especially those receivers, they're probably like, thank the fucking Lord, we don't have to put up with this shit anymore. We can actually get a real quarterback in there. And it didn't even have to be some superstar. They were probably internally happy when it was Jameis, Crab Legs, Flacco, Shadur. They were happy just to have anybody else but him. So why are you and the fact that you're surprised by that is so tone deaf. Like, how stupid are you, dude? Like you think Cleveland. Cleveland's a sports town with an extremely passionate fan base. They're kind of like Philly in the sense where, they ride with you real hard if you're winning, and if you're losing, they're going to attack you. It's just a part of the game, especially in those big sports towns like, Chicago, filthy, Cleveland is the same thing. That's what it is. That's the culture. It is what it is. And dude, it's not your first year there. It's your 5th season there. 5th season. You should know that by now. It's your 9th season in the NFL. You're not a rookie. Okay, stand up in front of the fucking podium, take some accountability, and say, I'm going to donate my checks because I don't deserve it, which he won't do that anyway. But it would, honestly, if he said that, if he said, I'm going to donate my checks and and I understand I haven't done anything, and I'm going to try to do my best, even though I haven't been good at all. I'm going to try do my best to work hard for my teammates and be better and blah, blah, blah. If he said that, I think he would have won a lot of people over. The fans would not boo him at all. But instead, he goes up there, fiddles with his $20,000 earrings like a little bitch, and is going out saying stuff like, oh, it was personal, man. It was personal. I mean, dude, who's going to feel sorry for you with that shit? Are you kidding me? And this guy was supposed to be a leader, and oh my God, I mean, that all Dabo Swinney was, oh, he's Michael Jordan, he's a leader, he's this, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's a leader? I mean, that to me is like so, it's bitch made, man. It's bitch made, and it's just soft, and you're tone deaf. You're totally tone deaf to the entire situation that you brought upon yourself. There's nothing you can blame. You can't blame Stefanski, because he's already gone. You can't blame him anymore. He's gone. And he was a coach of the year twice. You know why? Because when your ass was out of the equation, he coached the other guys were good. So it wasn't his fault. He got Baker to the playoffs. He got Joe Flacco to the playoffs. So you already blamed him. Maybe you didn't blame him directly, but you know, the scapegoat, let's put it like that. The scapegoat was him, right? Wasn't your fault. It was Stefanski. They got rid of him. He's out of there. So it's nobody else's fault. It's not the receivers, not the coaches, not the general managers. I mean, they put loads of skill around you, dude. Quinshon Judkins, that's a good running back. Sampson, that's a good running back. They put a first round pick into a receiver, a second round pick into a receiver. They traded for Jerry Jeudy and extended him, even though I don't like Jeudy. Some people love him. All right, fine, whatever. Tillman, they put a third round pick into. Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin is one of the better tight ends in the league. Njoku was a good player for them. It's not like there's no skill on that team. Offensive line, solid. Maybe not as solid as it once was in the earlier part of the 2020s and around COVID year when Stefanski first got there, but it's plausible. It's not bad. It's not like Houston or something like that. Like it's a decent offensive line. So what's the excuse? I mean, seriously, what's the excuse? And it's just this whole thing, man, with him. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And we're kind of like, even today, I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm just honestly watching that shit on I'm like, get this motherfucker out of here, man. Like if I was watching that shit, if I'm the owner, general manager, I'm like, man, I can't even look at you anymore, man. Like you're a disgrace. And you go up there and act like that as a 9-year veteran in the NFL, you act like that. You make Shadur honestly is the most mature quarterback on that team. Literally, Shadur is the most mature quarterback. And people are, oh, he's got a bad attitude. He's sitting there watching this shit. I mean, and he knows, even though he's only 23, 24 years old, even he knows, like, this is ridiculous. And, you know, he's never been to another organization, but he's friends with Tom Brady. And, you know, his dad is friends with multiple NFL legends. So he's probably been around legends, and he asked him, hey, how'd it go here when you won the Super Bowl here? How was this? How was that? He's looking at Cleveland like, what the hell is this? This is not championship. This is a joke. This is a fucking joke. I mean, so I can't blame, I'm not going to blame Shadur anymore. I'm not going to say Shadur has a bad attitude. I'd be doing the same thing if I were him. I'd be rolling my eyes and pissed. And, you know, they say he goes in there with a smile. I mean, I'd be doing the same thing, just answering with a humiliation and sarcasm, and I'm not even going to blame Shadur anymore. I'm not. You won't hear back. Maybe when he's a starter, I'll be a little bit, critical of his performance or whatnot. But you know, saying Shadur's a problem or Shadur's a bad attitude or Shadur, I didn't like the way Shadur smiled. I'm not going to. You won't hear any of that shit out of me. The blame is on that fucking quarterback they paid $230 million to, who's done nothing but be an absolute disgrace. It's one of the most. The Herschel Walker trade will be second to the Deshaun Watson trade, and I think that's not even an exaggeration. That's a fair statement to say. I mean, Houston hasn't won a Super Bowl off of it, but you know, Houston's become a double-digit win team since they made this trade. I mean, that will be the biggest highway robbery of all time with what Houston was able to acquire for him and then what he robbed out of Jimmy Haslam of $230 million guaranteed. And if he were to be cut today, and that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, get this dude out of here after that. Like, how do you sit there and watch that shit? Watch him play in the preseason like that. Watch him throw for 3 yards per attempt. 3. There's a high school quarterback that I could probably pull off the street that could do better than that. Literally 3 yards per attempt. That's just checking the ball down. You can get more yards per attempt than that. He threw for 3 yards per attempt, and to go out and in front of the press conference, in front of the media, and to act like that, to literally act like a female dog. Are you serious, dude? You're supposed to be the leader, the savior of the franchise? That's how you act? I mean, oh man, that's feel bad for Browns fans, feel bad for Todd Monken, I feel bad for the organization. I mean, I don't really feel bad for Jimmy Haslam because he's the one who decided that was a good move. But even today, well, to wrap this up, he comes out, and this is today. This is after his bullshit apology statement that the team basically, I mean, I guarantee you after that happened, you know, Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam and Todd Monken probably met him at the door as soon as he went into the facility the next day and said, hey, not cool, man. You need to put out an apology immediately. And, you know, there's nothing there. They were going to pin him up against the wall, said, you need to apologize. You need to come because the fans are not stupid. Okay. I know I make fun of Eagles fans and whatever, but they're not stupid, bro. And what's going to happen week 1 or week 2, whatever the first Browns home game is, boo! They're going to be booing. They're going to throw stuff on the field. They're going to rage. They're going to throw a fit. This bullshit apology is not going to change anything, but they had to do it for PR's sake, right? But even today, he said, I thought I'd get a different response. You thought the fans were going to cheer for you, dude? What the fuck have you done? You've done nothing. You've been an embarrassment. I've said this for like the 20th time. You've literally been a disgrace. You've done nothing but cause that organization hell. It's a miracle how Stefanski got that team to the playoffs, you know, once with you being in that building. I mean, people say, oh, if he's not playing, what's his impact? I mean, he's just there. He's collecting checks. Everyone knows he's the highest paid player in the world. I mean, everyone knows that contract's public. They know that. They're sitting there watching a guy getting paid $230 million just collecting. I mean, it's a horrible, it's a cancer. It's literally a cancer for your team culture. I mean, could you guys imagine in your real work life if the highest paid employee was literally a person that was performing like ass at their job and sometimes just sitting out and collecting checks? It would be like, what the fuck are we doing here? I mean, that's the Cleveland Browns. That's kind of the perspective I'm trying to put on this thing. Like, this is how silly it is. I mean, to you think you get a different, like, dude, how tone deaf are you? You really thought, like, what have you done? What game? Can anybody point me to a game that he played well in as a Cleveland Browns? And if we're going back all the way, the last time he played well was the 2020 Texans, where he threw for 30 touchdowns on a 4-12 team. A 4-12 team. So, okay, I get it. Their defense was horrible, and the offensive line wasn't great, and their skill was okay, and all right, well, all the excuses, fine. But if he's such a leader, let's take out the quarterback and all that. If he was such a leader that Dabo and all they said about how he's a follower of Jesus Christ and he's a leader and people just rally around him, why would a team be 4-12 with him as a starting quarterback for all the games? That's what never made sense to me about this whole thing. And he's not even fucking, I mean, we're talking about something in 2020. We're in 2026. Who gives a fuck? Literally, who gives a fuck? I mean, that's ages ago. A whole pandemic ago. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant to me. So, oh my God. I mean, I feel bad. I don't know how they're going to go about this, but in terms of, fantasy players for the Browns, we're knocking them down. I mean, we're not going to sink them because I think we'll see Shadur eventually because that's not going to last very long. And they have to, by no choice, give him the starting job because if they were to cut him today, They have to owe him $80 million. 80. 80. 80. They would have to pay him $80 million to not pay for him. And Jimmy Haslam can't face that reality in the mirror. There's no way he could do that. He just couldn't. And I don't blame him. To light $80 million on fire, that's nuts. You could probably fix the entire poverty situation in Cleveland. I mean, that's why I think it would be, people, when I said that last time, it was a joke, and I get it, but like, the more I think about it, if you said you're going to donate your game checks to the homelessness in Cleveland or whatever, whatever charity in Cleveland, the same thing, he was talking today in this press con, I'm a community guy. What the fuck have you done for that community? I haven't seen anything. Maybe he has, I don't know. The dude is he's lost, man. He's totally tone deaf. I'm sick of this shit. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Anyway, I don't even want to, that's it, man. That's the show at this point. Like, I don't even want to say shit no more. The last thing I had on my list, I wanted to talk, there's another quarterback battle going on. I guess we'll say this and wrap it up. It was talking about the Atlanta Falcons quarterback battle, which is really the brittle versus the brittle. The two most injury-prone quarterbacks in the league, Michael Penix and Tua. And it's funny, they're like damn near the same profile. And I guess it's fitting why they signed Tua, but Tua, he's one hit away. We all know that. And I don't need to stress it anymore. With Tua, I think he's a soft player. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and it's nothing with his character. I mean, there's some things he said that are like, really, dude? It's kind of weird because he's another one that Alabama, he was a great leader. And Nick Saban, you ask Nick Saban about Tua, awesome guy. Now, Tua he wasn't a predator. He didn't do any of that stuff, but he's another one that, especially in his time in the last 2 years in Miami, I've been reading some of his press quotes, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I can't pull it up right now, but I mean, if you guys rewind to some of the previous shows, you could hear me address it. And that may have to be on like Spotify, Apple Music. I don't think on YouTube I took it down, but that's if you care. And he has a similar problem to Kyler Murray, where once you get players in the paint, I mean, Tua's a small quarterback. When you get players in the paint, it's hard for him, and he's not a mobile quarterback. I mean, that's something that's very, very challenging. He's slow. Tua's a slow player. I mean, if he scrambles, he's going to just scramble for a few yards and slide or get out of bounds. I mean, Kyler Murray, all the crap I give him, he's very, very quick. He's very hard to sack. And, the problem with him is that only lasts so long, because once he gets hurt, that goes away. But Tua, even when he's healthy, he's not quick. He's not fast. He's very slow. It's easy to tackle him. That's kind of why in my opinion, there's too many limitations with him. I mean, let's not forget, that's why I remember at the time when I first really started doing this show, I said it was ridiculous that Tua got picked over Herbert. And, that was an obvious, even we saw early on that Herbert was going to be a better player than Tua. People in Miami didn't want to admit it. That's why they sold out to fix his career and get Tyreek Hill and all that crap, because they didn't want to admit that, even though they knew early on that they were screwed with that. And one of the worst things you could do is try to double down on your wrongs rather than just admit it early on. And that's what they did. And it didn't go anywhere from Miami. But, Tua wasn't even on. It was a good amount of teams in the NFL that didn't even have Tua on their draft board. They would have never drafted Tua because of some of the medical concerns and then just some of the limitations with him as a player. And I know that sounds crazy, but go look it up, guys. Do your own research. If you don't believe me, go verify me. Go challenge me on that. I challenge you to do that. I do my research. Okay. I'm not an expert, but I at least try to act so, because I do my research. It's true. Tua was off multiple teams' draft boards because of medical concerns and some of the other limitations he has, like his arm, his size. That's 100% true. It's a fact. So it's no surprise why nobody really wanted him when it come free agency, and he signs a minimum deal to go play in Atlanta. And then you go over to Michael Penix, who, I like coming out of the draft. I mean, I like the intangibles. I thought his accuracy was good. He threw a nice, pretty spiral. He was able to kind of step up and throw under duress, unlike Tua. And I thought overall he's a pretty clean prospect. He wasn't my favorite quarterback of that class. I mean, I like Drake May the most. I know it's a little revisionist history, but that's on record. I like Jaden Daniels too, but I didn't like him long term as much as I like May, and Bo Nix as well. But I hated Caleb. I've been consistent on that. I've never praised Caleb. I hated Caleb. Jaden Daniels, I like him, but I knew that wasn't gonna. I knew it's not really gonna last long. And Penix, I actually liked him. I like Penix as a prospect. I thought he was clean, but I wasn't like sky high on him. Like if I had Dynasty, I wasn't even running to get Michael Penix. And a lot of teams as well. Literally the same thing. Some teams did not even have Michael Penix on their draft board because of strictly the medical with him. Because there was, the knee injury and whatnot. So what does Atlanta do? They said, hey, even though we have Kirk Cousins, we got to have him. Why? Because, they have 15 general managers in that building in Arthur Blank's ear, or everyone that wants to play as a general manager. So when you have that, you have multiple plans and, it's a committee. No one's aligned. So, you had that situation happen, and, a lot of the concerns were validated because Penix has really been nothing but injured his entire time in the NFL. I mean, he's played here and there, but I feel like even, 2 years into his career, we haven't really seen anything. Just like I need to see more from Penix. There's some flashes, and then there's some moments, but like I feel like I've barely seen Michael Penix. I don't know. Is it just me? Am I not watching enough Atlanta Falcons? I mean, obviously I'm not psyched up to watch the Falcons, but I just feel like I've barely seen the guy. And right now, I mean, the reports are that he's just getting back to 11 on 11, and it's like, you're just, I mean, it's like same thing with saying like, bro, you're just like, it's August 24th. You're just playing 11 on 11. So overall, to sum this up, I think Tua's going to be the starter. Where I have Atlanta Falcons receivers, and I'm kind of just middling on them. To me, going from Tua to Penix really isn't that much of a change. It's not that much of a difference. So I'm just kind of, I've already factored that into my rankings. I really, when it comes to Branch and London, I'm really not changing them. If I'm being honest with you, I kind of think Atlanta, after this year, they're going to probably look to make a change at quarterback. Matt Ryan's going to be heavily involved in that process. Stefanski as well. They both have quarterback backgrounds, so I think they're kind of set up for, I don't want to say disaster, but it's probably not going to be a good year for Atlanta. And that's kind of what happens when you have multiple people trying to get in the owner's ear about doing this and that. Usually the team building is fucked up, and they traded a first round pick to go get that dude Pierce, who is a good player, but he's got major character concerns. I mean, that he had he tried to run away from the cops in this offseason and got arrested, and I mean that's on YouTube. You guys can go watch for yourself, but that wasn't pretty. He's suspended, so it's not really a great team. But I'll tell you what, the offense for Atlanta, I mean, fantasy-wise and overall, it's good. I mean, Bijan is, you could argue he's the best running back in the league. Kyle Pitts, tell you what, I don't want to say I've turned the corner on Kyle Pitts, but like Kyle Pitts, I think, is appropriately priced for the first time in his career. Like the last couple of years, I felt like he was appropriately priced. And I thought you saw the back half of last year, he finally kind of came into his own. He did deal with a lot of injuries. I did a deep dive on that this offseason just on my own. I didn't make a video or nothing, but really looked into the medical report of Kyle Pitts, and I'm talking about practice knick-knack injuries all the way. It's been a lot of knick-knack injuries with Kyle Pitts, and I think that definitely played into a big factor there. I mean, he had 1,000 yards his rookie year at 21 years old. I mean, that's something that goes discredited because he didn't have any touchdowns, but showed early on that he'd be decent, and he just never improved on them. But I think he kind of got a rough stretch of, just the NFL and how it breaks you down and whatnot. Hawkinson, it took a while for him to get going, so you could factor that in as well. And now tight end is a very hard adjustment, believe it or not. You would think it's easy, it's a piece of cake, but I know Brock Bowers makes it look easy, but let's look at McBride, who we could say he's the second best tight end in the NFL. Took him almost 2 years before he really started to shine, at least a year and a half before he really started to shine. Now, Kyle Pitts, I know it's different because we're going on year 6 with him, but I guess to wrap this point up, I that back half of last year, really that Tampa game, I really thought you saw him be a difference maker. And it could be a case too, as I say out loud, that like, hey, maybe it's just that last impression that kind of reigned a little too strong on me. But I think he's draftable this year. I think he's worth picking at his price, and I kind of have the arrow up on Kyle Pitts, believe it or not. And I was a person in 2022, 2023 saying, "Oh, hell no, don't draft Kyle Pitts. Fuck no, stay away from him." But I changed my stance on that, so I'm just pointing that out. But you have him. The offensive line is decent. You got Lindstorm and McGarry. I don't know, McGarry's still there. I mean, Lindstorm's one of the best interior linemen in the league. I mean, they've got some Bergeron. I mean, it's okay. It's a decent offensive line. And the receivers, I mean, Drake London's one of the better receivers in the league. And Branch, I really like him a lot. This rookie Branch is going to be a good player. So solid skill in Atlanta. It's a solid offense. It's not like you're going in there, looking at the worst thing possible. And you look, Kevin Stefanski, he's a good coach, 2-time coach of the year. I know that Predator ran him out of Cleveland, and I say that like, look, I don't think he didn't go to ownership and say, I want Stefanski gone, but Stefanski was a scapegoat of his lack of success. Let's make that clear. But I mean, we've seen Stefanski. He can coach the quarterback. Okay, he got a good season out of Baker. He got a really good season out of Flacco. And I thought you saw leaving last year. He did some things with Shadur, who was a 5th-round pick rookie. That he had a couple good games with him. So something to look into. I mean, I think this Atlanta offense can be okay, even though the quarterback is very limited. And with this Browns and Falcons situation, there's the old John Madden quote. John Madden's always said, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you got no quarterbacks. And that's very true in Atlanta and Cleveland. So there you have it, guys. Funny enough, we're almost at an hour. But that's pretty much all I want to talk about. We'll be back, I want to say the end of the week, around Friday or so, with another episode. But again, before I bounce, if you're interested, you like what you heard, you want to check out some more, you want to get my fantasy rankings perspective, you got drafts coming up, you need assistance, go ahead, scan there, link in the bio as well, join the Patreon, and get on board, man. Get on board I'm going to be doing some write-ups. I'm going to get waiver reports. I'm going to be doing trade charts. I'm going to be doing rankings on there, the in-season rankings. I'm not going to be doing the ranking videos anymore. Nobody cares about that. I mean, it's boring. It's boring to do, and it's boring to watch. Nobody's going to watch. It's not worth me doing my time on that. So that's going to all be on Patreon, where you can get star sits, all that stuff. So we'll have it all for you. Okay, guys, you like the analysis? You'll get even more of that on Patreon. Then you get access to me to ask questions, whatever you guys need to go dominate your league. So I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode, and we got a lot more to talk about, with training camp coming to a close and the reality football beginning. So I can't wait. Football's here, but my God, this stuff is so freaking watered down. What the heck is going on? I'll see you guys next time. Peace.